When I was a little kid, and I had already discussed this in an earlier video, but for those of you who don't know, when I was a little kid, my grandmother was an evangelist. She used to take me to church with her, and different churches in the LA region, Cali, and almost every single time it was a big black church. Big. We're talking 5, 6, 800 people, all right? And there would be 1,000 people crammed into this place and standing outside. And so I got to play drums for that. My grandma put me on the drum set when I was a little tiny kid. And I got pretty good at them there. So she was proud. She let me play in there with her. And in the song service portion of the church, and black churches get pretty raucous when it comes to the, and rightfully so. They get down, and that's good. But that was the first time I had ever heard anyone say brother to me. Hey, it's little Jack, little brother Jack on them drums, and Sister Mackie, Maxine, Sister Maxine, preaching tonight. And that was the first time I had ever heard anyone use the term brother, when describing somebody, another dude. And so that's where I picked that up from. And I say that still to this day. Brothers and sisters, let's get it together, things of that nature. But I do recall, since, brother, one of the very first church stories that I ever remember out of the Bible, and it applies to everyone. It doesn't matter if you believe it or you don't. It's a good story. I believe it. Anyway, Cain and Abel, of course. And how Cain just couldn't get it right. They both started out equal. They're brothers, they're both born of this place. And he just could not get it right. No matter what he did, he only got half of, if he went out and he did whatever he did, he only got half as much back for it. And he couldn't understand why his brother Abel was so good, Why does Abel get all the love from the Lord? Why does our parents love Abel more than me? Why? And so he went out in the field one day and he slew his brother. Cain slew Abel. All right. And so I got to thinking today, I was listening to something. Somebody was talking about the equality of outcome. And it popped into my head. Hey, that sounds like Cain and Abel. Because, today, co-Cain, he is going to tell you that, no matter what happens, every single time, I just can't get it, it's just not coming out right. I try so hard. Sitting on my ass all day playing Xbox. I try so hard, robbing and raping and stealing and pillaging. And nothing I do. Every single time the white man, he just won't. How come he win and I don't? Yeah, Cain and Abel. Co-Cain and Abel. That's what we're looking at, all right? And they fall for it every single time. The Bible was written by the tribe. So, of course, they're going to run shit, right? That's why I believe in the teachings of Christ. You didn't ever hear me say I went to church. Church is where 2 or 3 people are gathered talking in my name. That's what Christ said. That's what God said. All right? So I can have church with you guys right here, right now. You're at church. The Church of Jack. And what I'm telling you guys is that I see Cain and Abel, co-Cain and Abel. Here we are. And no matter what happens, these blacks and these cuckolds, we want a quality outcome, yo. It don't really matter what you did, how hard you worked in your life. I want to do whatever it is I want to do, and I want to get the same shit you get. All right? I want my free stuff. Gibbs me. I need. Oh, my God. All right? And it's not going to work. And you're going to be answerable to God, co-Cain. You're going to be answerable to a higher power. Yeah, some firepower if you keep messing around. And that's the truth of the situation. Because God works in mysterious ways. And I hope that God will let me be the measure of justice that needs to be metered out on these people. Trying to slay their brother. That would being in those churches the first time I ever really got to hear somebody say brother and sister. And I liked that. I thought that was good, that we could be brothers and sisters. And I didn't look like them. And nobody ever taught me racism. I learned it. I learned it by going to school with those kids and seeing them pick on other little white kids. I got to be honest with you guys. I really didn't have too much trouble. Only a couple times in my life, and I'm saving those stories. I'm saving them. I'm going to tell you guys some stories, but I'm saving those. But this is this is a good one. You guys need to hear the Cain and Abel story, even if you don't believe in God like I do, even if you don't believe in any of that. It doesn't matter. The story remains. And it was written by a small hat, a bunch of small hats. And they put this together. And why? Well, so they could use it throughout the ages, okay? Because the Cain and Abel story could have been, and the Jacob and Esau story. These are stories that are thousands of years old. And every single time it seems like a Dindu or a Muslim or somebody has to be the one that, hey, I got to overcome. I have to. And so they choose the character in the story that they think they want to be. They never look at the story and they never really dissect the story for what it's truly saying, which that Cain is absolutely wrong in every single way that he could be wrong about the situation and killing his brother and not being his brother's keeper. I'm not my brother's keeper. What am I? My brother's keeper? Actually, yes, you are, jackass. You owe it to your family and your mom and your dad and everybody in your community, Dindu, to do a good job, man, and to try as hard as you can. And don't worry about the outcome. The outcome will come around full circle for you, and everything will be all right if you put forth the effort. That's why white folks put forth the effort. And that's why we build these huge civilizations that you're living in. And you got taken. You sure did. You had a boat ride from Africa. Believe me, white people did not go into interior Africa and take you people from your... No, it's impossible. It would not have lasted 5 minutes in Africa. We all know that. Think about it. So your tribal people, your people sold you out. They gathered you up. You guys were warring, just like you're doing now. I don't know why it's so hard to believe. And they sold your asses. And the Jews bought you. And the Arabs bought you. And they brought you here. And they took you to South America. And they took you to the Middle East. In the Middle East, they cut your dick and balls off. That's why you don't see any of them over there anymore. They really hate you. And they're still selling you to this day. But the cuckold whites let you off the hook down here. And look what we're getting. Look at the fucking payment that we're getting for it. Conked in the heads, our cities being burned down. I don't care if it's a hoax, a lot of it is, I know. But in general, we are seeing what we're seeing, fellas. We're seeing what we're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. It's unbelievable that it always comes to this. You just be working, you just be trying, and the next thing you know, man, somebody, no way. It ain't, I want what you have. Okay, I'm living in a ghetto. I'm doing it, and no matter what, I'm driving a junk car, blah, 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 blah. Why, you got everything? Well, because I get up every single day and I go to work. Well, because, we try really hard. We clean up our neighborhoods. When I was a little kid, I used to go around. I made these little postcards. We moved and I found some stuff. And I had these little cards, these little index cards. And I was like 10 or 11 probably. Judging from the writing, it was neat, but it looked like a little kid did it. And it said lawn mowing service, free estimates, blah, blah, blah. And that was me going, and I used to put those in people's mailboxes if they weren't home, or whatever, and give them the cards. And I had a little business going there, But for people who couldn't afford it, I'd mow their yard anyway. Of course. Nobody had to tell me to do that. I did it out of a civic duty. If you're the only one on the block that doesn't have your yard mowed, well, I'll mow it, man. I'll mow it. No problem. I had the gas anyway. These people gave me money and everything went all right. Why? I didn't care about the outcome. All I wanted was, to go forward. My dad worked really hard. Everybody worked hard in my family. Everybody in my block worked hard. And so I felt like, hey, I got to get out there and try too. Well, now if you're living in a neighborhood that's just desolate, of course, you're not going to be doing nothing but sitting on ass waiting for the 1st and 15th. Like I said, I don't know if that's the way it is anymore, but it's how I learned it. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for you today. I got more stories that I want to tell. I'm coming to a point in this channel where I've got some real personal stuff I want to talk about. So we're going to start doing that, okay? Anyway, that's what I had for you today. I got to get in here and get back to work at my house now. We're setting it up. So, you know how it is. You move, and that's only one aspect of it. You know, there's a lot more that goes with that, the setup. But anyway, guys, let's get it together.